Welcome to the Quest coding class. Today you will learn about quest files, gather up your tools, and finally code a simple quest where you spawn in one enemy and defeat them. I will explain things as if you were a beginner that has never coded a line in their life. First of all, you need tools to code quests with. Notepad++ is the tool in which you will do all the quest code writing. You can get Notepad++ by going to this website, link in the description, and clicking on the download tab here. Then select whichever version you want, click on it, and either download an installer or a portable version in a zip file. It is up to you. XV2 Syntax Highlight is a Xenoverse specific script highlighter that will make it easier to navigate through your own scripts by highlighting things such as states, events, special code, and so on. The syntax highlight is packed along with Eternity's quest importer, which can be found here, link in the description. Here you will go to the drop-down menu located here, click on Quest Importer here, click Download, and then inside the downloaded zip file you will find a syntax highlight for Notepad++ folder. Now open N++, navigate to Settings, Import Style Themes, and navigate to the folder where you will find the script highlighter. Strictly speaking, you don't need this tool to code quests, but it does make the process a lot easier. Also, the vanilla quests.rar is an imported folder you should unzip and store somewhere. We will be using it to code our first quest. These lists contain all the known and unknown commands that you will use for coding your own quests, but we will go into more detail when it becomes relevant during coding. You can get these easily by searching for them via the Discord search function on Citadel server. However, I have my own updated versions of these lists that I will link in the description, so feel free to grab them from there. Now that you have your tools, you must learn what files a quest uses. Here we just define what each file does. We are not coding it. I will go into much more detail later. Before I begin, X2QS stands for Xenoverse 2 Quest, and I will be explaining them in order of importance. This is the script file. Here you write the entirety of your quest logic. This includes character spawns, flags, states, events, actions, and conditions. These script files are a nerfed version of the original script file. The game devs use these files mostly just to handle flags and set character stats. However, I strongly recommend you avoid these files like the plague, especially while just learning how to code. The issue is that some script commands straight up don't work here, but it is a trial and error trying to figure out which ones work and which ones don't. To give an example, a check for whether an enemy was KO'd works just fine, but the same check for a friendly character doesn't work. If you know what you are doing, you will make use of these script files and find out how to use them properly. However, for now, just know that they exist, but we will not be working with them today. Also, some base game quests use script 4, but Eternity's code compiler doesn't yet support it, so for modded quests you can, as of right now, go only up to script 3. Here you define the character frameworks. A framework is a character handler that defines their stats, assigned skills, AI logic and dialogue logic, as well as some other things, but for now these will do. Here you write the talks and speeches of all characters in the quest. The talks between characters, like for example Goku fights Vegeta so they speak, is done by the characters themselves, not by the dialogue file, so you don't have to worry about it. Anyway, for 99% of the time you will write just normal regular quest dialogues here. In advanced classes we will go over other types of dialogues, but those are rarely used, so we will mostly focus on the regular ones. This is basically the information file of your quest. Here you define the name of your quest, the victory, loss conditions, the quest description that appears when you look at quest details via the PQ bot, and so on. Now keep in mind that here you define the information about stuff like win-lose conditions, but the logic that actually triggers those is written in the script file. To keep it simple, here you define the UI aspect of the quest. You can also define mod dependencies here, but again, later at advanced classes. This is the simplest of the files. Here you define the starting positions of characters that are spawned immediately at quest start and not via a script command. So for example, the player character and the very first enemy in the quest. You can also define the locations of collectible items scattered on the map, such as Dragon Balls in the Gathering quests, or pick-up items that can be detected by accessing your scouter in-game. But seeing as basically no one ever uses the scouter to pick up scattered items anyway, you can forget about those right away. The Dragon Balls I have not worked with personally, but I could go over it in a special class later if you want me to. And that's all the files explained. Your quest must contain all of these, except script 1 through 3, those are voluntary. However, you can include just blank files too. For example, if your quest doesn't contain any quest dialog, then you must include the dialog file itself, but you can leave it empty. Go into Vanilla Quests, the folder you stored somewhere when getting N++ syntax highlighter. Navigate to TMQ folder and copy the very first folder inside that you see, called TMQ_0101. Paste that folder somewhere in your workplace. For example, you can create a folder called Xenoverse mods, inside that create a folder called quests, and paste the folder there. It will keep things nice and organized, which is especially important if you ever decide to mod in other areas as well. I recommend renaming the folder that you just copy-pasted, as it will help differentiate it between the vanilla game one and yours, especially if you'll be right-clicking on your file explorer to quickly return to your folder. Now you can go into the quest files themselves and code your first quest. For this particular quest you will do the following. First, open dialog.x2qs and script.x2qs and delete everything inside. Second, delete the file called script1x2qs. The rest you can keep as is, because you won't be changing these files all that much today. Now I will go through the files and quickly explain how to code them. We will begin with quest.x2qs. Open it up. The very first thing you will notice is item collection and its ID. To give you a basic idea, here you define the possible quest rewards and scattered items for scouter pickups. However, for now you can delete both item collection boxes. Next up, you are looking at quest TMQ_0101. The word quest in this case is basically a script body that contains all the quest's information. The TMQ_0101 is the ID of the quest itself in-game, and it is also the original name of the folder you copied over. The TMQ_ part must always be first, and then it is recommended to add your own free symbol ID of yourself, followed by a free symbol ID of your quest. So for example, my test quest could look something like this. Ultimately, what you name it is up to you, but remember that TMQ_ must be the very first part of your quest ID. Next up is episode 1, and the comment tells you what it does, but to put it simply, if you plan to reuse the base game's dialogues, then look at the quest from which you want to reuse the dialogues, open its quest.x2qs, and copy the episode number into your own quest. Then just copy over the dialogues that you want to use, and that's all. Either way, for now we will ignore it. Subtype 0 is the quest PQ type. You will use this to tell the game whether the quest is a regular parallel quest or a Dragon Ball Gathering quest. Since we are coding a regular quest, leave it at 0. Non-players free is the number of human players a quest can support. For PQs that is 3, for story quests it is 1, for raids it is 6, and for crystal raids it's 7. But since Eternity's code compiler supports only PQs and exper missions, or raids, you will keep this at 3 most of the time. Title, success, and so on are the PQ bot's information types for the player in-game. To write your own, you must do the following. Above the quest ID at the very top, write this. You will write a similar text box for the rest of the quest info as well. You can name these text entry boxes whatever you want, however tips that you can trigger in-game to give players additional information are written in the exact same type of a text box, so it is a good idea to name them uniquely enough so that you don't confuse them. As per what the individual information means, success is a quest's clear condition, failure is the losing condition, outline is a short description of the quest, warning is the trigger for ultimate finish part of the quest, EX success is the condition for clearing the ultimate finish. Once you are done, your quest file should look something like this. You will notice that the original game's quest info was defined in quote marks, but our new info is not. This will be the case for a lot of custom things we do. Moving on, now you see this. Change parent quest into TMQ1400, which is the tutorial quest. The unlock requirement is the quest that must be completed in order to unlock this quest. So set that to TMQ1400 as well. Now you will see this. These QXDs are a special internal game flag that sets some quest rules that cannot be overwritten. For example, if player is KO, the quest will fail automatically. But we will skip these for now and leave them for advanced classes. The next few entries are self-explanatory, but time limit is the quest's timer written in seconds, so in this case 900 seconds, which is 15 minutes. Difficulty is the stars graphic of the PQ bot. This goes from 0 to 7, where 7 will write out the unknown instead of stars. You can delete the level and I want 12 lines. start stage is the stage that will load up the moment you start the quest. This value must be the same as the spawn stage of the player character, which we will define in cars.x2qs. Start demo we can leave at 0, as we don't have a cutscene to play at the start of the quest. This block of text is self-explanatory. It is unknown how exactly the game calculates multipliers of the values you put there, but just know that a bigger number equals more rewards. You can also set negative values here, so that for example failing this quest will remove some Zenny and experience from your character. Next up are item reward and skill reward. Understanding this is a more involved process, so we will save it for advanced classes. For now you can delete all of these. Stages is a graphic that will show which stages the quest takes place in when viewing the quest via the PQ bot. Despite seemingly supporting 16 stage IDs, in reality only up to 4 will actually show up on the PQ bot screen. For this quest we can leave it as is. Car portrait is the enemy icon that will appear on a PQ bot screen. Since we want to fight Goku, we will change the first car portrait from KLL to GOK. You can delete the other car portrait entries as we don't need them. You can also delete all the car portraits and the quest simply won't have any enemy preview icons. You can leave the rest of this file as is, however change update requirement any into update requirement DLC1. Here I will just leave you with these notes I wrote. You can pause the video and read through them, but the ones you should focus on today are the ones highlighted. You can leave the player base and teacher entries as they are, but change the Yamcha entry like so. You can delete the remaining QXD HAR entries, but be careful not to remove the QML HAR entries. Now we move on to the QMLs, and again I will leave you with my notes. Keep player, player 2, player 3, Yamcha and teacher QML HAR entries, but delete the rest. You can keep all of them as they are, but modify Yamcha's entry like this. We are setting Goku to not spawn at start so that you can learn how to spawn in enemies using the script. The hearts file is now done. We can move on to the positions. HAR position is a box that defines which character is spawned where and in which stage. The HAR player means that the QML HAR character that is called player will spawn at stage called BF10, which in this case is the World Tournament stage, and their position is quest_0101_position_00. This last part means that their position is position number 0 that is defined in the quest_0101. For most positions in this file you will simply copy over positions from whatever quest you need to use. For example, you can also define positions from various quests in one position file. You simply have to look into a quest that you know has a character starting position in a stage that you need, and copy that position into your own file. You can ignore the rest of the entries in the HAR position box and just leave them as they are. Just like before, keep the player entries and the teacher entry and delete the rest. Since Goku won't be spawning at quest start, he doesn't need to have a position defined in this file. This is the most complex file you will be working with, however today I will keep it simple. Open the file and type the following: script, press enter, left curly bracket, press enter, right curly bracket, press enter. Now go back to the left curly bracket, position your cursor after it, press enter and then tabulator. This is a muscle memory thing you should learn as quickly as possible. It will ensure you never miss a bracket when coding and everything will be neatly aligned. Your cursor should be between the two brackets. Now type state 0, press enter, left curly bracket, press enter, right curly bracket, press enter. Now go back to the left curly bracket, position your cursor after it, press enter and then tabulator. Now type event 0, press enter, left curly bracket, press enter, right curly bracket, press enter. Now go back to the left curly bracket, position your cursor after it, press enter and then tabulator. This is the required base structure for a code in Xenoverse. Script defines the script itself, states define the currently active block of the script, and events define the actual quest logics, such as character spawns, setting flags, and so on. Now inside the event 0 you created, type the following: condition always. This means this event's code will trigger as soon as the state that the event is located in becomes active. Press enter again. Action init quest. This shows you the UI with quest name, clear and fail conditions, and it asks you to press the action button to start the quest. Once you have this written down, create event 1 using the same muscle memory, and inside type the following. Condition time within state 1.0. This means that the code will trigger once the current state was active for 1 second. The active timer is paused until you press the action button during init quest. Next, type action battle mode start. This tells the game to show you the UI such as health bars, character names, and so on. And lastly, type action go to state 1. This will exit the current state, turning it inactive, and will jump to state 1, making it active. It is a very good practice to keep all preloading stuff in the 0th state, and keep everything else where you expect the player to be actively playing in all other states. Anyway, now create state 1 and event 0 inside that. Then in event 0, type the following. Condition always, action load Kara, Goku enemy. This will preload the characters so that you don't have to stare awkwardly at the screen while waiting for them to spawn. Do note that this just stores the character's data in memory but doesn't spawn them yet. Now type action Kara spawn, Goku enemy 0, -1, 18, BF10, 0. Goku enemy is the QML car ID, 0 is position integer, -1 is dialog trigger. You can write an ID of a dialog here, or write -1 so that no dialog will play when Goku spawns. 18 is the scene ID. I will provide a list of scenes in the description and you can pick whichever one you want that is used for spawning. BF10 is the stage ID, same as in cars and quests. 0 is an unknown value. Lastly, we want the quest to be finished once Goku is defeated. Create event 1 and type this. Condition KO, Goku enemy, false, -1. This means that once Goku is defeated, type action quest finish state complete. The quest is completed. Finally, type this. Action quest clear. This will actually end the quest. If you did everything correctly, your script file looks like this. And that is the entire script file finished. Now you have a basic quest done that you can go play. But before that, let's look into dialogues. Here, type what you see on screen. This is a blueprint for writing dialogues that you will copy-paste over and over for all dialogues you wish to write. Text audio entry is a box that contains your text and audio. We will skip audio today, but into the text you can write whatever you want. Keep in mind though that while the text itself spans dynamically in the in-game chat box, the chat box itself has limited size, so if your text is too long, split it into multiple text audio entry boxes. Dialog is the box that handles dialogue logic. As you can see, it contains a dialogue part, which specifies which character speaks, which costume they wear, whether they are transformed or not, and finally the ID of the text audio entry is specified here as well. You need a dialogue part for every single individual text audio entry box that you want your dialogue to contain. To give a simple example, copy the blueprint and paste it underneath. Rename text audio entry from X to, for example, Goku spawn 1. Type some text into the box, for example this is a placeholder text. Copy that text audio entry box and paste it right underneath itself. Rename the new text audio entry to Goku spawn 2 and change its text, for example now Goku spawns. Now on the dialog box, rename it from Y to, for example, dialog Goku spawn. In the dialog part, change FOF into GOK and text audio X into Goku spawn 1. Copy-paste the dialog part and change Goku spawn 1 into Goku spawn 2. And you're done. It should look something like this. You can now close the dialogues file and open up your script once more. To hide the fact we are loading up a character in the background, we can play a dialogue to give the player something to focus on while the loading is ongoing. Go back to state 1, event 0, and above action load Kara, type the following. Action, play dialogue, dialogue Goku spawn, 1000, BF10, 0. This will play the dialogue that you just coded in the other file. Dialogue Goku spawn is the dialogue ID you chose in dialogues file. 1000 is the internal waiting time, basically for how long the dialogue can stay in queue before the game gives up on playing it. BF10 is the stage where the dialogue will play. 0 is unknown. Now, however, you must move the actual spawn into a different event. So create event 2 and type in condition dialog finish, dialog Goku spawn, and move the action Kara spawn here from event 0. Once you have added this to your code, Goku will now load up in the background, while your dialogue plays in the foreground. Your script now looks like this. And that's everything. Your quest is finished. Now you just have to create the mod file for your quest. Open Eternity's quest creator called XV2 quest-created.exe. In the name tab, write the name of your quest and set yourself as the author. Then switch over to the Files tab and as Quest Files, assign the folder where you are storing your quest files. So for example, our new test quest. You can leave the rest of the tab empty. Now save the quest by clicking the memory card icon, name your quest and save it anywhere you want, but not inside the quest files folder. Once this is done, your X2M now exists and you can install it as normal as you would with any other mod. Once you are done installing, go into the game and play your quest.
You look strong! I can't wait to go at it! You're pretty good! That was one heck of a move!
That will be all for today. Class dismissed.